Do you have a reading list for this summer? Let me recommend you Meghan, Duchess of Sussex's list of some of her favorite books. It's known that Meghan likes to read and to write. In her now different blog, The Tig, she used not only to publish very well-written and researched articles, but also she shared many book recommendations. She also published through different medias well-received articles. For example, one for Times Magazine, or Period Affect Potential. It was written in 2017 after a trip to Delhi and Mumbai with World Vision. The most recent one was in the New York Times, where she shared a miscarriage experience, and it was in November 2020. She's now a New York Times bestseller author. A bestseller, The Bench, available in many languages, was published last year in May. It's a picture book, and it is based on a poem she wrote for her husband, Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, for Father's Day. But let me remind you that her writing journey started when she was a child. First, we have that famous letter she wrote to Procter & Gamble, the American company, to ask them to change their sexist ad. She was 11, and they changed it. Second, she wrote her first book when she was in 8th grade. It was an assignment, and the book title is A Face Without Freckles is a Night Without Stars. She submitted to the Copyright Office in 1996, and this book is now part of the Library Congress collection. Now, let's take a look at her book recommendations. So here is Meghan reading list. Okay, let's start. The first one is The Motivation Manifesto, and it is written by Brendan Burchard. She shared her own thoughts on the book. She said, annoyed by your self-doubt and distractions? The noise that keeps you from reaching your potential? Okay, so yeah, me too. Even on my most Sasha Fierce days, there is a mean little voice in there going, I'm not sure if you can, or should, or if you're good enough too. Time to tell that little thief of joy to get out of your head. This book is a must-have for waking up your inner badass and being the very best version of yourself. So the second book is Grace, a memoir by Grace Condington. And the third one, In Vogue, an illustrated history of the world's most famous fashion magazine by Alberto Oliva, Noberto Angeletti, and Anna Wintour. We have also The Dress, 100 Iconic Moments in Fashion. The hardcover is by Megan S. Then we have The Coveter, Private Spaces, Personal Style. The hardcover is by Stephanie Mark and Jake Rosenberg. We have also When Breath Becomes Hair by Paul Calaniti. Then we have The Four Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And I'm going to read Megan's thoughts also on that book. My mom gave me a copy of this book when I was 13 years old, and to this day, I constantly circle back to the Don Miguel Ruiz classic for the simplest way to simplify your life. Don't make assumptions gets me every time. We have another book called The Tao of Pooh by Benjamin Hoff. We have the classic The Little Prince by Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. Then we have Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. Then Elements of Style by Erin Gates. And we have The Inner Gym by Light Watkins. So these are a few books that Meghan read, or maybe she's still reading them, and that she recommended through her Instagram and through the TIC. And personally, I've read two. I've read The Motivation Manifesto, and it was really a Meghan Markle effect because I bought that book because she recommended it. And the title was kind of intriguing. So usually I can read a book in a few days and weeks, but that one, I think it took me 6 months to read it. How? I started, and it's an intense book. It's a really intense one. So I started the book, and at some point I had to stop, and I went on to read other books. And then after that, after a few months, I I went back to finish the book, but it's a very intense and powerful book. And to be honest, while I was reading it, I was thinking about Megan. I was like, oh my goodness, that book was written for Megan because it was written long before she married Prince Harry. But still, if you read in the book and the suggestions, the advices that the author is giving, they were all fit for Meghan for the situations that she was at the time. She was still a senior working royal, and I was amazed and I know that when she was going through that hard time, I'm sure that she used what was in that book to become stronger and stronger and to find solutions. But it's a must, and I think for everyone who is a goal oriented, maybe if you have, let's say, if you want to become, let's say, a public figure, or maybe to occupy high positions, or just know how to handle yourself in life, I think it's a must-read book, The Motivation Manifesto. According to me, I've read it one time, and to be honest, I'm not ready to read it a second time. Usually, I like to read my books 3-4 times, but that one was so intense. So yes, of course, I will read it again, but I'm not ready now because it's really too intense. And the second book that I read, but I didn't read it based on Meghan. I read it before because of my what I do in life. So they always recommend us to read self-help books and also to read some books that really can help you build yourself up. And it was The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. And don't take anything personally. Don't make assumptions, like Megan said. So it's a very powerful book also. And I was amazed when she said that her mom bought the book when she was only 13. And imagine at 13 to have access to such knowledge, to such powerful information on how to see life and how to handle life and how to handle situations and people, different peoples. And really, like, I just have to applaud Miss Doya Ragland. She did a great job with Meghan, because at 13 years old, I would have loved at 13 years old to have been able to read that book. I'm sure that there are many mistakes that misjudgments that maybe it will have helped me not make, but I was not lucky. But I read it when I was much older. But if I had it at 13 years old, I'm sure that there are many, many, many things that I could have accomplished, and many also relationships that I could have saved also, because it's a great book about us dealing with other human beings. And then, for example, don't make assumptions, like don't take anything personally, because sometimes some relationships are destroyed because we take everything personally, when it's not. It's just something very simple. It's not about us every time. Sometimes it's really not about us, and we always center it around us, and then this is how we end up destroying relationships. So yes, so it's another book I recommend that I've read personally. And then, to be honest, the other one, I didn't check them yet. But while I'm waiting for Archetypes, and not patiently, unfortunately, I cannot wait for that podcast to be released, but I have to wait patiently. So while I'm waiting, I'm going to check the other books, and then you never know, I can share with you how I found them. So I hope that book recommendations was helpful for you. And then if you have read one of them, and if you would like to have a discussions, please, you can go into our comments and then leave your thoughts, leave your questions, leave your comments about any one of the books. And then I hope that you have a great summer. And I hope also that we have Archetypes very soon. So thank you for listening.